up, baseball fans? This is Mark Spencer. Well, folks, I'm glad to be back again. The thing about baseball is you gotta always be, willing to take some chances. In the game of baseball, it's all about chances. So, I just gotta say that in the game nowadays, it comes as no surprise to me to hear that the Tampa Bay Devil Rays have dealt some of their young players, such players as Delman Young and Elijah Dukes. Well, Delman Young is going to really help out the Minnesota Twins, and I feel that Elijah Dukes will help out the team he was traded to. I'll have to do some more research into it. So, folks, I'm going to bring you some news and some notes that's happened after the winter meetings this past week in Major League Baseball. So, folks, the big trade, Miguel Cabrera, Dontrelle Willis, was involved in one of the biggest trades in Major League Baseball history, right behind the Mike Piazza deal back in 1998, in the summer of 1998. It was the same type of deal. It was like a 7-player deal. A lot of players went to different teams. A lot of money exchanged hands in this deal. But in this deal, I think the Detroit Tigers completely gutted their farm system. A lot of prospects, Andrew Miller, a few other 3 great prospect pitchers they gave up, a catcher, a center fielder, names to be known later. I think there's some players I've never even heard of. Some guy named Betancourt. I think he's that center fielder. He played for them last year for the Detroit Tigers. But he's an okay player. I don't think he's going to be anything special, but he has a lot of potential. And that's why the Florida Marlins did this trade. They want to get younger. They want to get better. And they got great prospects, a good catcher prospect, a good 3 great pitching prospects, and a great young starting center fielder prospect. So, in the end, they made some good deals, and they made it happen. So, that's what happens, folks. You just never know. So, now, we move on to after the trade. Who do I think won this trade? I think it's the Detroit Tigers. I feel the Detroit Tigers really stepped it up here, folks. They were really aggressive this time around. They really wanted to get their guy, Miguel Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis, and they went and did it. So that's a great deal for Dave Dombrowski, Borowski, whatever. He's a great general manager. Don't forget, he's a former general manager of the Florida Marlins. Don't forget, he won a World Series with them, and he had to dismantle that team after they won the World Series in 1998. And trust me, he felt so bad. I wonder how Larry Beinfest is feeling. He has to trade away 2 of his best players and get back some more young talent. But, hey, if they ever get a new stadium down in Florida, let me tell you, watch out for this team because they're good. Trust me, folks. When we're talking about a team like the Florida Marlins, they have all the tools there. All they need to do is win and stay healthy. And I feel that if they stay healthy, they win, good things will happen for that franchise. So as we move on to some other news, it looks like Torrey Hunter is an Anaheim Angel. We knew about that a couple weeks ago. Yep, it's official now. He's an Anaheim Angel. It looks like Francisco Cordero is a member of the Cincinnati Reds. He signed a big fat contract, 5 years at $46 million. What a move by Dusty Baker. Goes and acquires a great closing pitcher. Good job by the general manager of this team. Cincinnati, that was a good move, good smart move. And what I'm hearing right now is that Mark Pryor has 4 days to maybe get traded, or they have to sign him, the Chicago Cubs. And you know what? What I was hearing, that Dusty Baker would love to bring in a Mark Pryor to the Cincinnati Reds. They could use some starting pitching. But the thing about Mark Pryor is he's been injured for so long. The last 3 years, Mark Pryor has had some serious arm trouble. He had Tommy John surgery, had elbow surgery, had another elbow surgery last year. I mean, this guy, I don't know. I don't know what's left in that arm. I don't know. Maybe he's taking the juice. You think so, folks? I don't know. But man, if you have that much surgeries at once on your one arm, I mean, it gets tough. But you got to deal with it, right? But the most important thing is he must never give up. And that's what happens. You must never give up. and he's not giving up. He wants to pitch again. So we'll see what happens in spring training. We'll see if Mark Prior ends up in a Cincinnati Reds uniform or any other team, like the New York Yankees. They're always looking for pitching. Look at Johan Santana. He's still available, folks. After the winter meetings, I'm still hearing that the Boston Red Sox are trying to pry him out, but they don't want to give up Jacoby Ellsbury. A great young prospect, no doubt about it. But if you're Boston Red Sox, you don't want the Yankees to get this guy. He'll just dominate your team, and you're not going to win another World Series for a very long time. So if it's up to me, I go give up Ellsbury. I give up whatever prospect they want and get a player like Johan Santana where I can trade from him, sign him to a long-term contract extension. And, in the end, your team gets better in the end, man. The other team gets better, like Minnesota Twins, where they have to rebuild a little bit. Not really rebuild, but rebuild a little bit. I know they're getting a new stadium soon, sometime in 2011, 2012. So, if you're a team like Minnesota, you need some building blocks, and you acquire some building blocks in this trade. You might not make the playoffs for the next few years because look at the Central. The Central's got better. Look at Detroit now, acquiring Willis and Cabrera. Look at that lineup. You got Guillen, you got Rodriguez, you got Sheffield, you got Ordonez, and now you got Cabrera. And that's one of the sickest lineups in baseball. Don't forget we have Sean Casey and leadoff hitter and Granderson. This team is sick. And don't be surprised to see if Brandon Inge gets dealt probably soon. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pittsburgh Pirates have some interest in him. There's a few other teams in the American League that have some interest in Brandon Inge. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Angels. They need a third baseman bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get him. Instead of overpaying to get like a third baseman like Troy Glass out of Toronto or Scott Rowland in St. Louis. But St. Louis, there's been some friction between Scott Rowland and Tony La Russa. But you know what? It's like air in a balloon. You just never know what's going to happen in that situation. But the most important thing is they must come together, have a meeting, have a talk, and, blow out some of that hot air because, Scott Rowland is one of the best third basemen in baseball. You can't afford to lose one of the great third basemen, folks. And that's what it's all about. You don't want to lose them. Trust me, I know. Well, folks, I got to say, it's been long. Thank you. Part 10. And we'll see you next time, folks. We'll see you next year. Get ready for the next season, folks. I can't wait. Major League Baseball next spring. Good night. So long. Bye-bye.